Another day on the Duck. You know what's an easy upgrade that isn't related to all my front setup and all? Is I can do the rear caliper. Sorry, that was just me thinking out loud, but what is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are back on my beautiful V4R. Have you guys missed the last few videos I did with this thing? We put real floating carbon ceramic rotors on this thing, and the bike handles and feels so much better. The first ride we did with it was also like calm and chill and just to get a feel for them. The first ride that we did with the carbon ceramics were just kind of to test it out. I've never ridden with carbon ceramic brakes. I don't think I've seen any videos online where someone is just casually riding a super bike on the streets with carbon ceramics either. So it was just that, and right before this video we kind of actually gave her some beans, got a little feel for it, you know, a little more spice instead of just cruising. And now we're just gonna do a pretty ride and maybe stop by Ducati Newport Beach as I drop this thing back off. We have about an hour, so as long as we don't take too long, I can make it back in time. The bike, I'm not even trying. I'm trying to actually keep her down, and every gear it's like I don't know what that sound effect was, but you guys get the memo. Why is there traffic here? That's kind of weird. But yeah, like I was saying at the start of this video before I did the intro, I've been trying to find like little things to do to this bike, something that wouldn't take too long. The next step for the front braking system, because that's what we're upgrading right now, and then finally the final touch is going to be the suspension on this thing. But I want to use the suspension a little bit more before we swap that, especially since we already started on the MC20, I believe, the Maserati. Beautiful. Since we already started on the brakes with the carbon ceramics, and of course we have the forged carbon wheels with ceramic bearings as well, so the bike rolls like no other. And like I said in the last video, I think one of you guys commented that we might have forgot to bleed the brakes, which is giving it that smushy feel. So it's less the carbon ceramics, but actually us doing the service, and I think he was correct. So therefore I'm trying to find an excuse to do something to the brakes of this bike, but not do the full setup, because the full setup that I'm trying to do, as I've talked about before, is replace the masters to the, what are they called? The Corsa Cortez RR. So RCS Corsa Cortez RR. Again, there's like 5 levels of masters that you can get. This is essentially level 4, because, and we're not doing level 5, which by the way, level 5 is what I have on a few of my other bikes, such as the M1000 RR, my HP4 Race, and the X-Trenta. Those 2 track bikes came already with the final level of master cylinder. The final boss, you might say. Sorry, I'm trying to focus and be like, why is there so much traffic here right now? Kind of getting to the spot, it was nice and empty. Got some breakfast and now it's super packed. Porsche, nice 992 GT3. I don't like when there's traffic and it's like narrow like this, but hey, this is kind of how Vegas is, so maybe this is good practice if we ever take the V4R there. Little tight for comfort, and I think it's because we replaced the handlebars on this thing to the Bonamicis, which does make it look nicer and more flickable, but at the same time, alright, easy there, cars. Don't want anyone to T-bone me. White and pink. It's a little more flared out with this setup. So I believe back then it was a little more tucked in, and now with these new handlebars they're more out, especially with my insanely long lever guards, forged carbon and all that, so they're very long. And that's why I'm like sometimes fitting in tight spots. It's not the best thing. I didn't realize I was in the middle of the crosswalk. I was like, why is people walking into me? It's actually me, it's my fault. But yeah, like I was saying, with the build plan on this bike, we already started on the braking unintentionally with the carbon ceramics, and now obviously we got to bring everything else up to spec. But because we don't know what we're doing, well, I do know I want the RRs, but like I said, those just for the masters are about $2,000. They're about $1,000 aside, I believe, or maybe even a little bit more. but let's just call it $1,000 aside. So $2,000 for the Masters, which are the Corsa Cortas, RCSs, RRs, RCS, Corsa Cortas, RR. They're just like nice machined, and they come with their own lever and whatnot, which means actually we need to get the specific carbon lever for it. That is made, I believe, by AEM or something like that. Again, it's quite the build. That's what I'm adding to it, you know, because I think those levers also, each lever is about like, I don't know, $500, something like that. So $3,000 just for the setup up here. And then of course, if we're doing that, the whole point is to do the the calipers. Sorry, like I said, it's very packed, and I'm trying to pay attention because I'm still confused why it's so packed over here. I'm not liking this, the Ducati's not liking this. We want airflow. But again, we want to get, I think they're called the Stylema Monoblock black calipers. They're like glossy black with the Brembo in red. I think that would look super sick with this bike, especially with the carbon ceramics. And I believe those are about like $1,500, something like that too. So roughly, you know, the new setup is going to cost $5,000 besides the carbon ceramics, which are already over $5,000. So yeah, just a random upgrade that wasn't accounted for. And that's why I'm like, I kind of want to do some smaller stuff, and then we do like a big upgrade for the V4R, especially because right now we're more focused on upgrading the Super Veloce and the H2R. So I want to be doing these two bikes. I also want to do the Extrenta first. So it would be, that's the order. We're already working on the Super Veloce right now. We did a lot of stuff to the Super Veloce, so if you missed that video, go check it out. The bike looks absolutely crazy right now, and it's not complete. So I guess for some people, including myself, it looked a little off. It definitely looked a lot better than before, but still looks off because it's incomplete. So we gotta complete it to a level where I'm happy with it. Kind of like, this is how I do with all my bikes. I get them to a level I'm like, okay, this looks complete, but there's always more touch-ups, kind of like disc bikes. And then we start going crazier and crazier. But I want to get the Super Veloce to a level I'm happy with it. And then you guys love the H2R, miss the H2R. It's been a while since we've done stuff to the H2R because we went crazy on it, and then we shifted to the newer and different bikes. So I want to go crazier with the H2R build, do some crazy stuff, a lot of power figures and whatnot. But then when we're done with the H2R, I kind of want to shift back to the Extrenta because again, that's my newest bike, and I think she deserves some love. The nice thing with the Extrenta is that there's not too much to be done to it. That's one of my most complete bikes out of the box, especially now that we have tuned her and did the exhaust on her and a few touch-ups, you know, so it's not going to be too much of a crazier build. And then we'll complete the Extrenta, and when that's done, at least for the most part, then we go back to the V4R and we finish like the braking setup, and maybe either shift to something else and then back for the suspension, or just do the suspension a little bit after too. Because like I said, between the suspension and braking setup to complete the V4R is going to be another about $20,000. And as you guys know, this bike is already $100,000 to $100,000. I mean, I've been saying it's $100,000 build since like a couple of years ago, and we've done a lot ever since then. So like I said, it's definitely over 100 at this point, but I keep saying 100 just because it's easier to recall. So 100, but realistically it's about 110. So yeah, by the time it's done, this bike is going to be absolutely crazy, price-wise, and looks-wise, and performance-wise. Just like every light, we get like a couple seconds, and then it's packed again. We literally jinx it. We're like, it's so empty, it's nice. Oh, turbo, nice. Because it's kind of like midday, and then now it's like jam-packed, light after light. I keep saying like, oh, after this light it'll clear up. Nope, nothing. So all of that backstory just to lead to the fact that I'm like, maybe I should do the rear caliper first, because I already have like a nice rotor. I don't plan on doing carbon ceramic in the rear. I really like the rear rotor, and I think it goes very well with the setup. So, and again, because it's so small, I don't, you know what I mean, think it's necessary. So rear rotor stays, replace the rear caliper, and do rear brake lines, or do all the brake lines for everything, because I think the brake lines should be compatible. The problem is with the caliper that I need for the front, the black and red one, I think you need a different diameter setup. So I don't know if, let me know down in the comments below if you guys have knowledge. That's very kind of like again, you gotta be working on bikes and know this nerdy stuff to know about this stuff. But I'm getting there because I love this nerdy stuff. I'm just not at that level yet when it comes to the braking system. But I know there's like different measurements and whatnot for the braking setup, and your master has to match your caliper. I don't know if the brake lines are affected too. I don't know if the, you know, there's thicker brake lines or thinner brake lines. I don't think so, but you never know. So, and I know they make carbon fiber ones, but carbon fiber ones are actually, most of the time, they're either a sleeve or something like that, and they're not very recommended overall. So I'm thinking of just doing steel braided lines with like red. So they're gonna be like, on the outside they're gonna be red, but on the inside they're gonna be like steel, the actual lining of them. And I definitely want to do the red because, like I said, it gives it kind of like, I really like how it looked on the H2R. It just gives it like, it almost looks like veins going throughout the bike. So I think it's a nice touch, and it's not too much because most of the lines are going to be hidden anyways. So, like I said, I think me talking to you guys right now, I've kind of like figured out the plan. I think we should do the rear caliper because, again, that doesn't require me to do a big job on the front, and it's a lot more cost effective for now. It'll complete the rear, and we do complete brake lines for the rear and the front. I think that's the move. Red stainless steel brake lines. And that way we complete kind of like the back end, the back half of the bike, at least when it comes to the braking setup and the brake lines. And the only thing I would have left, like I said, would be the masters as well as the calipers. And then my V4R should be complete at that level with the braking setup and all that stuff. And after that, the main thing that I would have left is the suspension setup, which again we've talked about. I need fork lowers, I need different forks, probably a titanium spring, and yeah, just go crazy. Again, this is my ultimate dream Ducati. The only Ducati that I like slightly better than this, if we're talking stock to stock, is the Superleggera V4, not the new one, this version. So that's why now that I know how the new Superleggera looks, I'd rather just go crazy on this build. And I won't regret it because it's not like they're coming out with a next Superleggera anytime soon or a next V4R. Because at the end of the day, just for the braking and the suspension setup, that's literally like an R1 right there, which is absolutely insane that it's literally about the price of a liter bike, a nice liter bike too, like a newer liter bike, just for a couple upgrades. But if we want to build the best and the baddest, that's what we got to do. Oh, there's another V4R right there, so we're gonna go right next to it just because. Oh, is it a demo bike? I've actually never put them side to side, so that's gonna be exciting. Oh no, I think it is for sale. I'm sorry for parking in the handicap spot, but I really wanted to park next to the new V4R. It's crazy because mine looked essentially like this when it was new, and now look at it. I've taken it to the dark side. You know, even though I was disappointed that they didn't do enough for the new V4R in comparison to the regular ones, because when this came out it was completely different than the S's and the regulars, I still love it. I still love the V4R platform altogether, and it's still a sick bike. And I do like the different wings that they put in comparison to the other one, and I also do like the scoops, whatever you want to call them, in the bottom. I think they do give it a cool look. But again, why did this bike not come with any carbon? Because my V4 came with all the carbon that's on it stock. Like, the wings should have been carbon fiber here, the front fender, the rear fender. There should have been a lot more carbon on the bike stock, especially because this is the R, which is, you know, the final level before the Superleggera. Which is kind of interesting now because the Superleggera, the R is the only one that's going to be with the R engine, because the Superleggera is now going to have an R and S, or base model, engine combined. It's 1100 cc's, but with R internals, as far as I understood. That's interesting. How much is it going for? $52,000. Yeah. Fortunately, if you guys saw my last video, that's what I was saying. I've already spent around that or more than that on pew-pews in the last year because that's what I've gotten into. New, very expensive hobby. But it's okay. I have a few bikes. I have a few pew-pews. Look at the carbon ceramics. Look at the difference in the way they look. But see, like I said, I think if there's some, like, you know, red lines just barely sticking here and there, tying everything together would be very sick for now until I do the braking setup down there. And the rear, because it's just a singular unit and smaller, it's easy to do this with the red also through it. I think that's the plan. This is why I like talking to you guys sometimes, because I can just think about that. Also, they look pretty busy. I gotta make it out of here very soon, so highly doubt we're gonna get that service light taken care of, but we'll take a little look at least. The V4 Superleggera. Like I said in the last video, if we finish the build on this bike and I still can't find a Ducati that I really want, or that is new that they came out with, it's one of these two. This is a very good option too. The Desmo Sedici is definitely high up there on something that I would want, but I think for something it'd be similar to the HP4 race where I wouldn't be riding as much because of reliability issues and complications. So that's the issue. You know, I want a bike that I can ride a lot for content. That's why sometimes I'm considering selling the HP4 race. So that's why this is the last of the 3 on my list. But one of these two. If I was being honest, if it was only one bike, it would be this. But because I have my V4R, I think I would really like this more. But again, $80,000 for the 1299. So it's pretty steep. But again, 215 horsepower, same amount of horsepower as my HP4 race, road legal. And I would say they're probably similar weight. 368 dry, roughly you add out about 35 pounds, I would say. 35 pounds of fluids. Call that 370, so yeah, it'll be a little over, I don't know. The HP Force is way lighter. HP Force is gonna be like at least 25 to 35 pounds lighter. So, you know, but this is gonna be rowdy. So is HP4 race, I don't know. Another V4R. So they do have a few of them. Ducati started doing too many like colorways and special editions, so I lost track at this point. Is that a Speciale? No, no, that's not a Speciale. That's another one that I loved. One of the like Ducatis when they came out, I was like obsessed with. Haven't seen a yellow one. That's very interesting, like all yellow, because I've seen the racy looking ones, but this is interesting. Yellow is my least favorite colors, but I'm not gonna lie, it works on this bike. The 2V4Rs, the new one does look beefier. It looks wider than mine. It would be sick to have this Gen V4R and this Gen V4R. But I think for variety for the channel, we want a Superleggera. Just so we have a Superleggera. That being said, I would love to ride the new V4Rs, especially one that is set up with an exhaust. Oh, no way. They have an 1199R. And I brought my R, the missing R. Oh, and another R. 1098R. 1199R. Yeah, this thing is gorgeous too. My first Ducati was an 1199. Would have been sick if it was an R. How are you guys doing? Just riding around, figured I'd stop by. I know, I see all the R's and I brought my R too. So literally, I think we have all the generations. This one, the 1199, mine, which is the... Oh, I didn't see that one. 21 miles. So it's essentially time capsule too right now. How much is this going for? The color. Everyone's obsessed with that color. Ducati needs to bring this color back for a future super leg or something, because everyone loves this bike mainly for the color. It's like a neon red almost in pictures. No, it's beautiful. Looks really cool. Yeah, I'll check it out right now. Nice seeing you guys. Dude, this color, absolutely insane. That's crazy because they have the 1199R and the 1199 Superleggera. Yeah, this color is a masterpiece. Look at this mirror delete setup. So beautiful. Nice machining. Sick wheels, mag wheels. I did ride one of these. I never ridden the V4 Super Leg. The only one that I haven't ridden is the one that I really want, which is the 1299 Super Leg. Okay, officially we have to ride back because I have 30 minutes to make it back somewhere kind of far. So we don't want to be too last minute. Alrighty. Beautiful bikes, but like I said, I was talking about these two. Maybe one day, if I don't get another newer Ducati, we go even older. More old school. I think the 1299 is going to be like essentially maybe not as crazy as a Desmo one day, but it's going to be one of those bikes that are like the twin, the super rowdy for the crazy electronics. And I can see a lot that I can modify with that bike already to make it even cooler. So potentially, there's a lot of stuff that we could be doing.